the Cologne Major, Big were 1 round away from elimination. 12 rounds played, 0 rounds won. But little did they know that they were about to make the biggest comeback in CS Major history. This is how Big managed to do something that no team had ever done before. NRG would start the map with a clean pistol round, conversion, and an anti. Here on the first buy round, we can see that NRG played super aggro. They want to fight Big in middle. But the problem here is that NRG made so much noise and used so many flashes, and Big had actually made the correct call in the round to do a B default, so that if something in mid happens, they can just react out B. But for some reason, they've got two guys sitting in apartments this whole round doing nothing. And then when the B hop finally does come in, there's not really many good flashes, and Nitro can isolate two 1v1 duels and turn it into a 4v2, which eventually NRG are going to clean up. Right away from the start of this game, you can see that NRG were trying to play with a bit of pace, they were trying to play in Big's face, and they were trying to be the ones in control of the map. But from Big's point of view, we can see in a few instances that they look a bit lost. Here, Grim gets an easy pick on ramp, but JDC should be here to trade, or at least have an opportunity for the trade. But right as he was about to peek, he just turned away and kind of wandered off somewhere to give nades to his teammate, or do something in the back. And it was these kind of little communication errors, these little situations where Big weren't quite on the same page, that kind of leads me to believe that they were a little bit more affected by NRG in this game when it comes to nerves and stuff, because they were overthinking a lot of the things they were trying to do. And then what Big decided to do was just to simplify the game a little bit. There are 4 guys coming from A, trying to do a pretty simple A split, but NRG are so ready for these fights. Bro is just super happy, and he just looks super crisp in all these duels. There doesn't seem to be much nerves. In fact, this is the opposite of nerves. He's jumping over Tetris to kill the opponents. And in this half, it kind of seemed like everything that NRG touched just turned to gold. Because this round, Grim's in sandwich, Big seem aware of it, and there's 2 guys in ramp that have mollied him out, and yet somehow Grim can still peek this and take his kill and get away. And if we look at it from Big's perspective, Grix could have just held this, but instead he's too worried about stairs, and Grim just gets out and kills his teammate, and he's none the wiser. And just to kind of rub salt in the wounds, it's a 5v4, but NRG are going to keep trying to control the map. They're going to keep the pressure on Big's throats, and what we're going to see here is Grim and Sonic are going to research mid together with the short player as well, and then they're just going to do this super well. They're all playing together, they're all crunching mid. It doesn't matter if it's a 5v4, they're saying we are going to be the ones that are dictating the tempo here. We're going to push mid on our timing, and we're going to just get good trades. And then Grim as well is just going to top off with some really nice shots. And at this point, it's 10-0. NRG don't really see much reason to stop playing aggro, to stop just doing whatever they want to do and what they're comfortable in. And you can see Nitro's just, he's pushing Biap solo. I mean, Big haven't even put too much mid pressure, but he's going to do it regardless. He's going to sit in the smoke. And when he walks through, he's going to get a one-on-one duel, and he does well to get this kill. But I think in so many instances, Tabson could have just killed him, and then it would have been a 4v5. But, in this instance, it did work, so it's hard to be too critical of it. But then when Big go out B here, they've seen the op back site, and BlameF is kind of just lagging at the back. He's holding for the swing, and because he's living for so long, the round slowly just falls apart because they had a short lurk as well, and they just are not on the same speed that NRG are playing at right now. Now NRG have hit 12 rounds. They literally got 1 round. It's basically a tap-in to make it to stage 2. But I think something during that halftime break kind of flipped in Big's head, where they kind of got to the point, I think, where, you may as well just be confident and try whatever you want to do, because there's literally nothing to lose at this point. Every round feels like it might just be their last, so they may as well go and just try to do like anything that they would normally want to do, and are basically playing with no pressure. Meanwhile, NRG are doing what most teams would probably do, and are just playing with the momentum. I mean, you see how fast they got down mid in this round, and they're just taking these duels like they've done all game. They're actually going to get 2 entries, and it's going to be a 5v3, and you know, they kind of make the right decision where they want to just let Big walk into them and play the round, but this double boost and under doing a boost in any sort of man advantage situation is just such bad fundamentals that they just both of them give away their life to do this boost for window for what, right? Like for what? There's no need. Just hold your underpass flank, hold your window flank, and just simplify the round. Just give yourself a chance in any duel anyway. Even if you get heads up duels, you've still got a pretty good chance of winning the round. And the one way you lose is if someone just walks up behind you and kills both of you. And in this 2v2, it's actually a pretty awkward situation for NRG. Blamev already obviously wants to stop the bomb plant, but Favin just comes up and just gets this nice double. I mean, I don't think he even knew too much about it, because they just kind of peeked him so fast and kind of lined up a little bit. And I think this goes to show where NRG's head was at this point, where they just wanted to close the game. If they just took a breather and peeked him on a good timing, they would have won. And then you could see again in this round how many dry fights Energy want to take, but this time it doesn't work for them, and that's ultimately the risk you take when you just want to take so many dry fights, is that sometimes it works and sometimes just nothing happens. And in this round was where I start to get a bit worried for NRG because you've got this big lead, but what they were doing here is they were trying to pump a B fake, but trying to run these kind of set rounds and fakes against teams that are kind of playing balls to the wall and don't have anything to lose is so hard because, I mean, the nades come in, but Blame F is instantly dropped underpass, and the players on B are just looking for the duels because they've got nothing to lose. They're not afraid of you. If teams were going to respect you and instead hide on the back of the site, then this would have been a different round. But that's not who Big were in this round. And Energy are going to keep trying to abuse this B site. Here they do a B pop, and it actually works out pretty well for them. In fact, you can't really ask for more. It's a 3v3. You get it smoked down, and I want to pay attention to what Bro does in this round. Okay, it's a 3v3. They've got bomb site. He takes one spam, right? He gets the kill. It's a bit risky, but it works. But here, this is just an error that you cannot make on this round. It's a 3v2, there's smokes up. Just don't give him the opportunity to spam you. This game was practically, again, in your hands, but he's just playing a bit too fast. You know? And now you've left it into Tabson, who gets a sick 1v2. But again, the risk could have been completely avoided. And this was the point where I thought Energy's heads had just completely went after losing that round. Energy were now just playing against Big with all this momentum, and they were just calling set round after set round in the hopes that one of them worked. But in this set round, they're just doing it wrong. Nitro's going up short practically solo. His teammate should be close to trade, and when they go out B, they've got two guys on short who just are not even remotely white to any of the flashes that are being thrown. I mean, it's such a poor round, especially from a team whose their best map is arguably Mirage. And I think by this point in the game, it's pretty obvious to say that Energy's game plan was just to try and abuse Favin on B. But if the game that Favin was having, I feel like this was just always doomed to fail. On this round, they just try and contact in, and Favin gets, an easy one, and you can fall off, and the whole kind of thing just slows down and just falls apart. And it really feels like they would have just been better trying to play some defaults rather than just trying the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. But instead, they're just going to keep feeding Favin, and they're going to give Big more and more rounds in this game. And now in the final round of regulation, Energy are finally going to smell the roses and realise that if they want to win this game, they're going to have to do a fucking default. There's no two ways around it. But you can see that now that they've played a mid default, it's going to look like a different round from Big. Tabson is now going to take space on ramp, and this eventually is going to lead Big to another round win. But why does Tabs make this decision to push ramp for the first time in this game? So if we want to figure out why Tabson has done what he's done this round, let's have a look. Tabson's going to come towards A. Energy are going to throw some flashes, two smokes mid. They're going to molly underpass, and they're going to molly top connector. Blame F has now seen both of these nades. And if you're paying attention earlier on in this video, you might have also spotted that on this round, the Energy are going to do this exact same default, where they're going to do the two smokes. Sorgon's going to jump bottom mid, and he's going to molly top connector. This is somewhat of a hard tell, that Tabson can then take space on A, and something that they'll definitely have prepped for. And if you look at the rounds that Grim has played on T side Mirage, we can also look how many times does Grim go Palace? He's went ramp twice, and this is over about 20 rounds. Grim has went ramp twice out of about 20 rounds. Therefore, especially when they're throwing these nades in mid on this other default, that Tabson knows he can take space on ramp. This is the wrong round. Go back to round 24. We're going to see Tabson is going to take deep ramp control. Grim's obviously in Palace. Energy are going to come back to him. But Tabson is going to get the one kill, which is great. He could have got more as well. But even when he dies here, then the great thing is how ready Big are for this default. Look at Favin in this round. 4-3. Favin has pushed all the way to TV, and then the round is just won already. Energy don't really know it yet, but this round is near enough impossible for them because they're just boxed in. And then I liked how when it comes to the late round, JDC is also coming in. Grix is throwing a flash and a molly. They're trying to delay buy time for Favin. Grix is even going to come around, and Grix is going to do, more flashes here, kind of like baiting that JDC is going to take this angle, but he's not committing to the fight. And Favin just gets easy kills in the back. Big take their 12th round of the CT, and they take this game to overtime. This video is powered by StratBase, sponsored by UKCS Hub. Use code UKCS Hub for 20% off. Many NRG fans would be hoping that after that they would have chilled out a bit and tried to reset, but you can see here they definitely haven't, as they've left a smoke in spawn, and when they're doing the slow mid default, it's going to come back to bite them in the ass. I've been asking for a slow default the whole game, they've finally done it, but now they've done it, they've done the top mid smoke, they've done the window smoke, and now with the, two of the remaining smokes because one's dropped in spawn. They've done window and connector, and this is all well and good. Bro gets to ladder, and it's kind of an okay round, but without this last smoke, it becomes so hard, and you can see that Bro's still a bit lost. He's taking damage to the molly, but he's holding this short angle, and if you look at the radar, you actually see that Nitro is actually just kind of scaling up Con, and for large parts of this, he can actually die, and Bro's not even covering him, so he's not really included. And then he tries to jump window, fails to jump, and then he dies to short in the back. It's just a completely lost round from NRG. They're still just making these rounds so difficult for themselves. Now NRG are actually going to make a really good call. They're close ramp and they're making a lot of mid noise, kind of faking that they're playing one of these heavy mid defaults again, and Tabson is going to try and take this ramp space again. This time he gets punished. It's a 5v4. Good. But what does Nitro do? He runs for the gun smoke, gives it up, and then Sonic's going to get punished going out ramp. Grix and Blame F done a really good job here, but Energy had their first 5v4 and God knows how long, and they just completely squandered it away. They could have slowed it down, they could have made a different call, and instead they all just hard reacted and they died. And this round again just makes it seem so confusing. If you look at the radar in this round, there's about 3 energy players coming towards B, but then they all go back to ramp and they just leave Bro in middle. Now, they're going to do some A nades, and Bro's going to be the lurk here. Bro is the lurk, he's up to maybe kill someone in the back or make some noise so that people are looking behind. He takes a dink, right? Now his job is to stay alive and make Big scared that you can flank them. But on 20 HP, he spams for the smoke and dies like you would expect, and the round becomes really difficult. But you know what? Energy actually make it really competitive. They turn it into a 2v2, but if we think back to this game, they can't even win a 1v2. So how do you think that they're going to do when Favin is still alive in a 2v2? Favin is going to win the round again. It's another round, the energy, coulda, shoulda, woulda, and it's Big's 15th in a row. Now Grim is going to come close ramp, and this is kind of unlucky. It's something that Big actually tried to exploit earlier in the game, so they were clearly aware that Grim could play close ramp and does do that a lot. But I do like that Nitro, even after this game, is still trying to get somewhat aggressive in apps, and he's actually going to put himself in a pretty, good position for when Big are going to come back to go B here. But sadly, I think he's going to have make one of the biggest mistakes in his career, and he's going to get 0. And with that, Energy's major hopes are going to die with a whimper in what will be one of the most memorable games in Major history.
Fashion, 16 rounds in a row at 0-12 down. Every bone in your body said it was impossible. No one had done it before, and yet here they are. This is a Big that have choked their fair share of games at this first stage, but not this one. They do it in historic fashion. 16 rounds straight. Big Clan are going to stage 2.
Counter-Strike is a mental game, and Big show us why.
If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and check out some of my other videos.